Welcome, everyone, to Props and Parlays. Today, we are talking UFC. We're going to talk a little CFL, and we're going to talk WNBA. Get you here ready to turn a profit for this weekend. I'm Andy from WagerTalk.com, being joined, as always, by my fellow prop master, Andrew McGinnis, who is on assignment at a wedding. And, he is joining us from the wedding venue. I love it, man. Old school. You were saying it's like an old manor type thing. That looks awesome, man. That looks like such a cool destination wedding here. Andrew, let's talk a little UFC here. Couple props here. The biggest thing is it's obviously in Denver. There's high altitude. We saw it with PFL when we were on high altitude, man. The fights drastically changed. Guys were gassed. What's some props that you're looking at for UFC Denver?
Andy, look, I really wanted to do this show because I'm not going to be with us next week. So I hope everybody can bear with me with the audio, with the connections. We'll try and get some of these picks going here. And one thing I will say is that it seems to me, and I see you tweeting about this as well, so I already know you agree with me, that the fight nights, the ones we don't have to pay for, have been the most exciting, it seems like. And the ones that we're paying for have been all going the distance, boring decisions. And I think the reason being is because everybody that's on these fight nights has something to prove. They're trying to elevate themselves. The second that they win a fight, knock somebody out, what are they doing? They're going right in Dana White's face. Like they do it every time. And, you don't see it as much on the UFC pay-per-views. These guys going right after Dana White, trying to, ask for a next contract, ask for a next fight. So, of course, with that being said, I'm taking some of these fights to not reach round two. And that is, of course, with the Abdul Razak Al Hassan and Brundage fight. I think that one's going to be over before it even starts. I think both guys are going to come firing. I think if Brundage thinks he's going to win and has any shot, he's going to come out firing. I understand that, maybe to try and defend the takedowns a little bit, you try and keep your distance and be careful. But that was the first bet that I punched in on this card, was for that fight to not reach round two. And then I kind of want to talk about Rose a little bit here, because to me, it's actually quite the opposite. The last time I saw her fight, I was so bored, Andy, I almost fell asleep. It looked like she was a different fighter than the fighter that we're used to seeing. I think that one goes the distance. I think we see both fighters fighting for points. I think we could see some work on the ground. But for the most part, since Rose stepping up in weight a little bit, it seems like she's a little bit less, I don't think reckless is the word to use for it, but I feel like she's a little bit less dangerous. Maybe that's a better word to use, and a little more cautious. So in that fight in particular, of course, we do see the over being 4.5 heavily juiced. So I would recommend, if you like any fighter in that one, to just go ahead and take them to win via points. And Drew Dauber, I like him, but I actually like him inside the distance. I think that he is one of those guys that he's had a mixed bag of fights, but the power he has that one punch. And, a lot of times I don't like the guys that are just talking a big game. It's not the same as NBA or NHL where you can see a big quote and bet someone's prop. But man, the amount of talking this guy has done the past 2 weeks, Andy, it's going to be really embarrassing if he doesn't back it up. So that's my play here. A couple plays in the UFC, and I think Drew does get the job done inside the distance. What are your thoughts on him, kind of just the way he's been running his mouth moving towards this card?
So I like the over 1.5 at -120 because both these guys are very tough. We saw Gene Silva take Jourdain's best shots and they laughed at him. We've seen Drew Dober, he got knocked out once by Frivola, I think. And but we see him absorb a bunch of damage, and I'm not really sure that Gene Silva can really get to the chin of Dober. I also think we could see some wrestling in this one. That's how Dober lost against Moicano. Dober was winning the third round. He goes for this ridiculous takedown, and Moicano's a takedown ground specialist, and Moicano ends up on top, squeaks out the win. So I wonder if we see some wrestling from Dober Silva early. I also think that these guys are going to be a little bit cautious early on. There's going to be a feeling out process. And don't forget the gym that Gene Silva comes from, the Fighting Nerds. These guys always come into this
come into their fights with game plans. But I do think it's curious that Gene Silva took this fight. I mean, what did he fight? A couple weeks ago? 3 weeks, like 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago?
Yeah.
It's an awfully quick turnaround to take this fight. I'm not really sure that they have enough time to really get a game plan going. So I think I agree with you that it is Dober. I could see him wearing down Silva as the fight goes on. The other thing, we haven't seen Silva go this long, which is kind of why I like the over 1.5. But I do like your play on Dober inside the distance, because once Drew Dober kind of takes Silva into muddy waters and really starts to put him on him and show like, hey, this is what a long, grueling UFC fight is like, I think we could absolutely see the veteran Dober pull away. I kind of like the over 1.5. I don't think it'll make my card, but I'm with you that Dober is the play in this one. And yeah, you got to back it up. When you're talking that much, you got to back it up. But it's cool when you do though.
Yeah. Well, it's the same thing. Remember during the NHL season when you would make same game parlays on puck time, and they were kind of like counterintuitive, like one over and one under, like one team. I'd be very curious what type of price we'd be getting if we're comboing both of our plays over 1.5.
Oh my gosh.
And then somebody to win inside the distance would be a pretty cool play.
That would be amazing. Absolutely. So you mentioned the main event, Rose. I like Rose. I did I hear some great quotes from Tracy Cortez, talking about she almost walked away from UFC. I mean, Rose was training for Macy Barber, and I think Macy Barber was going to really put it on Rose. I think this is too much for Tracy Cortez, but I do agree that this fight goes a distance, and whoever you like. Cortez is going to try and wrestle. The problem is Rose is really good at that. Cortez is, she hasn't fought the best. This is a massive step up. And I did the thing, Andrew, where I took Tracy Cortez's last fight and I put on my computer screen. And then I took Rose's last fight and I put on the computer screen. I just played them from the very beginning at the exact same time. The difference in speed and striking is monstrous. Rose is so much faster than Tracy Cortez is on the feet. It looked like one was on slow-mo and the other one. So I like Rose to kind of pull away in that one. A couple other props in UFC. I love overs. I in some of these earlier fights. I love the Fremd and Petrosky fight to go over 1.5. You're getting at pretty decent money. I love the Montel Jackson Blackshear fight to go the distance. I love the Jazz Davicius and Klein fight to go the distance. I love the Van and Charles Johnson fight to go the distance. Charles Johnson has one fight that hasn't gone the distance. That was against Jimmy Flick, the Under Machine. So I think there's a really good chance to parlay some overs. I'm not taking over on the Santos Agapova fight, and I'm with you. I'm not taking any type of over on the Alisson Brundage fight. And one of the things about that, make no mistake about it, if Alisson hits Cody Brundage really hard, Brundage will quit. The reason I say that is I've watched him quit in fights. This isn't a narrative. This is just I've watched him quit against Jacob Malkoun. So you give Brundage any type of adversity, he's going to quit. So you always have that going for you. So I'm with you.
And it wouldn't be the first time either that Hazak Rassan made someone quit either. It wouldn't be the first time he made somebody else want to stop fighting either. So, I mean, it's two combos where you could have one guy that's done with the fight within the first round.
Yeah, and Alisson has no ground game. If they start the fight, Brundage runs over, double legs Alisson and gets him on the ground, that could be a submission in a couple minutes. Absolutely. I do like Luana Santos inside the distance over Agapova. My heart goes out to Agapova. That woman, man, has been through a lot. She needs a complete reset. She took her last fight against Jillian Robertson in 2022. She openly took it so she could get money to pay for a surgery. She was fighting so hurt but she didn't have enough money, so she takes that fight against Jillian Robertson. She's been homeless. The UFC, I believe, started sending her food. She finally was able to eat meat this year. Life's been very, very rough for Agapova. And so then what does she do? On May 30th, she goes and tries to do a grappling match in karate combat, and she loses in 31 seconds to a 17-year-old, Andrew. And like
Wow.
not a great tune-up when you're going in for a 15-minute fight against an adult. So I think Agapova is in big trouble here. So also, Andrew, the late addition fight, the Evan Elder Darius Flowers. I have no idea why this fight got added to this card. I don't know what the thinking is. I think Darius Flowers is absolutely horrible and terrible. Evan Elder is minus 410, and I love it as a parlay piece. Darius Flowers is awful. He is so bad, and I think they're really getting to the point of the time of year where they're getting ready to cut guys. You got a lot of people on this card that can get cut if they lost, like Cody Brundage, Agapova, Darius Flowers, because Contender Series is right around the corner. End of the year is coming up. They're looking for reasons to get rid of some of these fighters that are on 3 and 4 fight losing streaks. So, all right, that is your UFC prop wrap up here. Andrew, nice win in the CFL last night. Cash easily on the Toronto Argonauts over the Alouettes. Thank God I didn't put the Alouettes in a parlay. I was I'm not really feeling them. You've been really good with these CFL props. What do you like moving forward this weekend?
Andy, the couple I like here this weekend, and a lot of it just focusing on certain strengths of these defenses here. And this week, I'm going to be more of an unders guy, actually. Last week, I really, really thought, and it was, of course, my 5% play, I thought Winnipeg would get back and finally find the win column. They were winless on the season, and on this show, I gave out the over for running back Brady Oliveira. He had 100-plus yards. His number was only 69.5. And one thing about this team is when they get up, they can certainly run the ball and protect it. But this time around, I think I'm going to trust their defense to make me some money. And the passing defense has been unbelievable. They're top 3 in the league this year in passing yards allowed per game. I think Jake Mayer from Calgary goes under 240.5. These teams played just a few weeks back, Andy. They get some film. They get a chance to look at what happened, what went wrong during that game. And I'll tell you, one thing that did go wrong was that there was an injury to the quarterback for Winnipeg, and it really messed things up for them. Now they're back and healthy. They're getting their running game going, which is going to help them a lot. And, what does a running back game help you with? Well, it keeps the other team off the field. Andy, if Jake Mayer's not on the field, he can't get passing yards. And I think Brady Oliveira is going to be a really important guy to the team this week. So I'll take the under 240.5 passing yards, Jake Mayer, quarterback for the Calgary Stampeders. And I can't believe I'm putting faith in the Edmonton Elks to do something, but I'm going to mention a prop for them in a second. I still can't believe it. We'll get to that in a second. But the BC Lions, again, I'm going to trust their defense. We're going to trust their rush defense here. AJ Ouellette is a guy, a running back that I think I've talked about him a few times in the show. I'm really high on. Really great running back. Played for Toronto, played for Montreal, plays for Saskatchewan. But BC ranks number 2 in the entire league in running defense. And this is the thing. You see the point spread, Andy, on this one. It's minus 7.5. So if you look at it, if BC gets up a decent amount, do you think the Saskatchewan's going to be able to just send out their running back to keep gathering 3 and 4 yards per play? I don't think so. They're going to have to eventually make plays. They're going to have to throw the ball. The line is not out there for it right now. But that's one play I'm certainly having my eye on right now. And as far as the last game of the week, I'm going to take a look at the under, especially if we are getting Dustin Crum out there for Ottawa. I'm going to take a look at the under on passing yards. Bear with me on this one. This Elks team, their passing defense isn't that bad. It's actually just their rushing defense that's really bad. But the thing is, if they get off to a decent start and the backup quarterback struggles for Ottawa, well, then they don't really have to worry about the run game very much. So I think that if Dustin Crum is the quarterback, and I think he will be because Drew Brown is still in concussion protocol, then we're going to see the secondary for probably the first time in 5 years put on a show on Sunday for the Edmonton Elks and make a quarterback go under his passing yards. So a few I like there. If I were to give you a best bet out of the ones that I mentioned, I would probably go ahead and lock in the Jake Mayer under 240.5 passing yards. That one goes tonight, Andy, Friday night.
Love it. Andrew, tell everyone what you have up for this weekend over at WagerTalk.com.
Well, Andy, Saturday night, I'll be going for my sixth straight CFL play. I already gave out a free play on the WagerTalk TV on Edmonton. They were -3. They've moved to -4. So if you guys want to jump in with me on that one, but Saturday night, we're going for win number 6 in a row. I have 2 UFC plays locked in for clients. And I'll tell you what, the MLB team totals are going well again, Andy. I kind of shied away from them for a little while. The runs weren't really there. Teams weren't scoring, but I don't know if it's the heat or what it is. These teams are heating up and the team totals are going very well. And you know what? The promo code I'm going to use is the one they've been using on WagerTalk today. KIV69. 1 week, all plays, $69. You can't beat it. You guys know Kelly in Vegas, KIV69. Get all my plays, $69 1 week.
Love it. I got a 4% UFC best bet that is up. That will come with all of the UFC plays that we have up for UFC Denver. If you guys could hit the like button, helps the algorithm out, helps us, helps WagerTalk know that we're doing a pretty good job for you here. I'm going to talk about a couple of WNBA props before we get out of here. This is a free play and actually a client play. It's Alicia Gray. She goes under her 18.5 point total. So, Andrew, what I've been noticing about these WNBA props and players is these streaks don't go really that long when players are going over. And I've settled on like 5 being the number. Like when someone goes on an over total streak of like 5 games in a row, it's time to go back to the under. We saw this with Aaliyah Boston the other night. 5 in a row, and then she fouled out in 16 minutes, didn't even get close. And Alicia Gray has gone over this 18.5 total 5 games in a row. Here's the thing. Last 4 games, she scored 20, 19, 19, and 19. She's barely getting over this. And she shot the ball 71 times in the last 5 games. So she's way above her shot attempt total. Shot the ball 19 times last game. That's an insane amount of shots. So she's going up against the 4th best defensive rated team in the last 5 games. So I think we're about due for regression here. I would also point out, if you want to look at the rebounds category, Jonquel Jones for the Liberty, she's at 10.5 rebounds. She's gone over 4 games in a row. But again, 12, 11, and 13. I think she's due for a game to go under. And you can even do this with assists. Caitlin Clark. Look at Caitlin Clark's assist total. It's 9.5. She has gone over 4 games in a row and 5 out of the last 6. But this is a big, big number. Andrew, she started the year by going under this total 14 straight games. So this over on the assist is fairly new, and we're almost to that magic 5 number. So I would play Caitlin Clark under her assist total. I think we're due for some regression there. But Alicia Gray, under 18.5, that is a client play and a free play that is posted up at WagerTalk.com. All right, guys, that's going to do it for us. Quick little props and parlays. Andrew has a wedding to get to. Andrew, where is this again? You were saying it's just like this old, like, where are you again?
I'm in Quebec City. So anybody that knows Quebec City, everything is very old school. It's beautiful. It's very nice, but every building is very, very old looking. But yeah, we're at a huge manor. Every single person in the wedding is staying in this manor. So I'm actually in somebody's room right now that hasn't arrived yet, and trying to be as quick as I can so they don't show up while we're live on the show. If you could see my setup, you'd have a really good laugh right now, Andy. But I couldn't miss the show. We got some UFC props, and especially like those CFL ones. We got guys in TikTok right now asking again to mention what that prop is. That's tonight in the CFL. Quarterback for Calgary, under on his passing yards, Jake Mayer. So, yeah, Andy, I apologize for not being my usual setup. I appreciate still doing this show with you, man. What do you have going on this weekend for your clients? I know you mentioned you got the 4%, but you've got the cross-board parlays, all that stuff. Can you remind people at home what you have?
Yeah, so the 4% UFC best bet is it's going good. We're kind of rooting on the last couple golfers to make the cut to cash for our golf our golf plays of the week. So we get those home. We're off to a really good one. We don't have official darts plays up, but we will. There's a big darts tournament starting on Saturday, so keep an eye out for that. I don't know if I may try and do some kind of free play on social media once we get the dart plays up, because I keep getting more and more people asking about it. But really, Andrew, the 4%
It's
best
fun to
bet
watch.
for UFC is where it's electric. It's electric.
Yeah,
it's great.
Whenever I watch Andy, I'm like, man, I want to go there in person. I want to be there for this match. Like whenever I'm watching, I'm like, this looks so fun.
It's been better than some of the pay-per-view events that I've paid for on UFC. I'm serious, man. After that last pay-per-view, I was like, I'm going to be hard-pressed to pay for 5 fights on a pay-per-view when the prelims are so much better. But whatever. It's probably the betting odds are minus 200 that Andy's going to get sucked into buying the next pay-per-view and still gonna watch it anyways. But all right, guys, well, let's cash in the CFL. Go get Andrew's CFL play. We're going for 6 in a row. It really truly is as